Bank, your bank for life, is also bringing us food for thought. Good morning, Uncle Ibo.
Good morning, Liverpool.
That's an answer. That's a greeting only I can't respond to. I have to respond on behalf of the millions of people around the world.
Yeah.
Standing with.
But you are the one I know. You are the one I'm dealing with now. How did you feel like?
Oh, it was exhilarating. It was relief.
Yes.
It was really very, very relieving. I was very scared at a point. I had just come from Kumasi, and we were a goal up.
Yes.
And Tottenham was making some.
Oh, I
good
was present. Yes.
Yeah, so I was very scared at a point, but still. God,
Did you know how many goals shots you had on target?
I didn't check after the game. I was looking.
Go and check. You realize that soccer logic no days.
Oh, it has never been a logical.
No logic no day inside.
It has never been a logical game. No.
Yeah, but congratulations to you and to all of them. And since you are the one I know, I am buying you breakfast today.
Amen. So
I would have taken you to lunch, but I would have done that with you and her. But since that part of the equation has not been answered yet, so this is for your breakfast.
Oh, thank you very much, Aklebo. Aklebo presented the breakfast on our Facebook Live. Okay, so as much as this can buy, you're invited. But this is discrimination, Aklebo. Because I wanted the lunch. This is discrimination against all single people. Because I wanted to enjoy the lunch with you.
Well, get used to it. Life is unfair.
What's today's message?
All right. If you let me know who you took to breakfast, because this can allow you to take another person with you. If you let me know who you took to breakfast, and it happens to be the right gender, then we'll do supper. We'll do dinner.
You see, actually, but you're not fair, because when I brought my sister to watch A Crazy Ride,
yes,
you said I was boring, so I can take my sister or my mother to breakfast, and it will still be a problem. Should we see the right gender?
It doesn't qualify. It doesn't qualify. And you know it doesn't qualify. That's why you're even having to make a case. No, but don't worry. I do more win.
I do more win. Actually, I do more win. Hey, actually,
no.
I'll let you continue. But you know that Manasseh did this investigation on some issues with the Zoom Lion company and the way that contracts were awarded.
Okay.
Sraj officially commenced the investigation, finished, and handed over the reports to the Attorney General. Attorney General Senensanke, excuse my language, like they haven't gotten it. So the documents, we don't know where it is. And this is the Ghana that we are in now, actually.
Well, and it's been raining and it's been flooding.
Anyway, when you finish, Manasseh will come, we'll go into the details. Let's hear the message.
Dan, on June 3, 2015, at about 9:30 p.m., JB, the music director of Roverman Productions, found himself stranded at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra. He had just closed from rehearsals and was making his way home. As he stood under a shed near the Accra North Post Office, he wondered when the rain would stop and when the floodwaters would go down for him to continue his journey home. Then he heard the driver of a pickup truck shout, "Dansuman, Dansuman." JB made a dash for the pickup, thankful for the lift. The driver decided to go through Adabraka since the Kaneshi route was too flooded. So the pickup made its way at a snail's pace through the floods, past the GCB building at Circle. And JB looked out at all the people sheltering at the filling station at Circle. And just as the pickup made it through the floods, JB heard a loud explosion behind them. The impact was so strong that the pickup truck was pushed forward. It was only when JB got home that he discovered what had happened and how fortunate he and those in the pickup had been. Unfortunately, over 150 Ghanaians were not that fortunate. 5 years ago today, June 3, 2015, Ghana suffered one of the worst disasters when the flood waters at Kwame Nkrumah Circle caught fire and resulted in the death of over 150 people. I remember that day as if it was yesterday because my cousin and I were caught in the flood that day. We were rehearsing one of our plays that evening when it started raining. But when the room in which we were rehearsing began to flood, I brought the rehearsals to an end, and it took me over 3 hours to get home, but at least I got home. Most of those who perished that day had taken shelter at a filling station at Circle, waiting for the flood waters to go down so they could continue their journey home. They never made it home. This morning, as I remember that disaster, I do so knowing that any of us could have been caught in that explosion at Circle. I could have been among those who lost their lives that day, and so could you. And on the 5th anniversary of the disaster, I am asking, have we learnt our lessons? In 5 years, have we done enough to ensure that no Ghanaian suffers a similar tragedy again? Last week, there was a heavy downpour, and Circle and other parts of Accra were flooded again. Is it that we cannot do anything about the floods, or have we decided not to do anything about them? Other nations have to deal with hurricanes and tsunamis and tornadoes. We are fortunate. We only have to deal with rain, and still we are not able to cope with that. Part of the problem may be political leadership, and in this, all those who have managed Accra since the 60s must take part of the blame. We have known of the parts in Accra that are prone to floods since the 60s. We have had to deal with floods since then. All through the years, we have seen the situation getting worse, and yet those who manage Accra have not done much beyond lip service. After every flood, the managers of Accra have demonstrated their knowledge of how to avoid floods. They know about the need to desilt gutters. They know of the need for bigger gutters. They know of the need to stop people from building in waterways and the urgency to demolish such buildings, and they promise to do so. There has been no mayor of Accra who has been clueless about how to ensure that floods do not recur in Accra, and yet the floods keep recurring. Why? Because most of the mayors of Accra do not go beyond talking. They know what needs to be done, but they forget about it as soon as the rain stops and the media stops talking about it. But the next time it floods, they do not fail to come out to visit the affected areas and make the same promises. There's nothing new that the current mayor of Accra will say about the current floods that his predecessors have not said about floods in Accra already. There is no solution he will promise that his predecessors have not promised before. But the sad news is, should there be another flood, would hear whoever the mayor of Accra would be making the same promises that have been made after previous floods. Successive presidents and heads of state of Ghana must also take part of the blame. It has become almost a ritual that every year there are floods in predictable areas in Accra, and then whoever is president, in the company of the mayor of Accra and an assortment of officials, tours the affected areas, expresses sorrow for the loss of life and property, promises aid for survivors, and issues a strong statement that this will be the last time flood would happen. The president and his entourage then take a few pictures and leave until the next floods, when they repeat the same ritual. When June 3 happened, a former president said he wished he had a bulldozer to pull down all the structures in the waterway. Well, he had bulldozers when he was in power. Did he use them? Every president we have had in Ghana has been in the position to ensure that the floods in Accra do not recur, and every president has made that promise before, and yet here we are in 2019, still suffering from the trauma from floods in Accra. But it is not only political leadership that is to blame for our failure to deal with floods in Accra. Those who throw litter and garbage into the gutters contribute a lot to the flooding. It is common practice in many parts in Accra that as soon as it begins raining, we throw garbage into the gutter for the water to carry away. The problem is that this method may help you dispose of your garbage from your house, but the garbage will not disintegrate in the water. Instead, the water will carry it along and dump it somewhere along the line, and this will limit the ability of the gutter to do its job of letting the water flow. The garbage blocks the flow, and that creates flooding in places where there should be no floods. This is prevention of floods 101, but we do it every time it rains. Last Friday, 4 of my staff and I were returning from an event at the airport residential area. It had rained briefly in the afternoon, and it had caused heavy traffic right into the evening. I remarked that in the days of Noah, God needed 40 days of rain to wipe the people out. I did not think that God would have to bother with 40 days for Accra. My staff laughed and said, "Don't talk about days, talk about hours." We cannot stop the rains. In fact, we do need the rains. And we know what we need to do to ensure that the rains do not continue to take lives and destroy property. Unfortunately, we seem committed not to do much about it. On the 5th anniversary of the death of over 150 Ghanaians from the twin disasters of June 3, I ask, did they die in vain? What have we done to ensure that no other Ghanaian dies that kind of avoidable death? I ask because I could have been one of them, and so could you. My condolences to those who lost loved ones on June 3, 2015. I pray that we never forget them. May this be the last time we mourn the loss of innocent Ghanaian life. And that is my presentation for this morning. And Liverpool, you have earned the right to celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Uncle Ebo, for joining us this morning. And thanks for breakfast. I'm guessing a few Manchester United fans who are asking if they can join, but I don't think your red is red enough. I'm sorry.
Their red is not red enough.
No.
Wow.
We never walk alone. It's very spiritual. We don't want any devils. Any devils in our breakfast.
So, I'll get a report of the breakfast.
Yes.
Who went with you?
Yes.
Or who you took along?
Yes.
And then based on that, dinner may be in the on the cards as well. And I hope to see you at I Want Your Wife.
Yes. I want a wife, any wife.
So remember the advance tickets, which we call the early bird tickets, are out there. Please exercise the right to buy it at 60 instead of 80 for now.
Uncle Ebo, have a super day. And that was Food for Thought. Thank you very much, Uncle Ebo and the Rovman team.